setting the table for Nico Iamaleava in 2023. Because the guy came out of high school and probably was even in high school with so much hype and so much juice, and then going to a rabid fan base that is Tennessee only amplifies all those things. We got to see him in person yesterday, and was really interesting to get to watch him actually throw the football in a practice setting and get to kind of talk to some folks that are close to that program and get kind of a pulse for where things stand right now for Nico and kind of a gauge for 2024. So before we get to that, make sure you're subscribed right now. We appreciate y'all being dialed in. It is because of y'all that we are currently sitting on the road in a college football athletic complex. All right, that is because of y'all. So we appreciate y'all allowing us to do that. If you like stuff like this, if you're a diehard junkie for this sport like we are, make sure you're subscribed. So thank you in advance for getting that done. Thank you for getting us to Knoxville yesterday. So with Nico Iamaleava, what he did in that Citrus Bowl was nothing short of electrifying, right? Because Joe Milton's sitting out. It's the first time to see the number one recruit from the class of 2023, see what he's going to do. It's first peek at the future. And he goes out and does awesome. Runs for a couple of touchdowns. Looks like he's running the offense really effectively. They beat a really good Iowa team. And even though Iowa was anemic offensively all year, it's still a really good defense to put up points against. With that being said, I want us to still take a breath, slow ourselves down a little bit, and understand that we need to hold our opinion of Nico Iamaleava really loosely. We were so close to getting the whole show without stumbling over his name. We need to hold our opinion with him very loosely, because as much hype as he comes in with, as much as we expect him to be awesome at Tennessee long-term, understand now he hasn't played a game yet in the SEC. And what I want to get out ahead of is if they go to Norman and he has a little bit of some freshman struggles in a road game in a big-time environment and throws 2 picks, going to be a lot of people that come out of the woodworks and say, I told you he wasn't any good, told you he was overhyped, told you he was this, told you he was that. And it's like, we can't define a kid in his career and how he's going to be as a quarterback in September of his first year being the starting quarterback. Okay, so let's give it some time. Let's allow our opinion of him to evolve. You think he's going to be awesome? Great. Believe that, but understand that it's not a linear path to success for Nico. There's probably going to be some growing pains, as there is with every great quarterback. Peyton Manning's first year in the NFL, I think he still holds the record for most interceptions by a rookie ever. Imagine writing off Peyton Manning. All right, so I'm not saying Nico's going to be Peyton Manning. I'm just saying don't be surprised if it's a gradual success to being as good as he's going to be. I'm not saying he's going to struggle. I'm just saying give it time is kind of the key point I want to make there. Because even in that bowl game, they feel like there were some reads that he missed, some things that he could have improved on, some things that he probably could have crossed his T's and dotted his I's on. So give it some time. The thing that I'm most encouraged by when it comes to the makeup of who Nico is what he has between the ears. All right. This is a guy who very easily, in the day and age of social media and visibility of athletes, he could take all of that, wrap his arms around it, and just amplify his own image, amplify that hype, and feed into it. He hasn't done any of that. In fact, talking to folks yesterday at Tennessee, they told me that he's actually done his best to downplay all that. He's not trying to jump at every single opportunity to be in front of a camera and tweet something out and juice his own NIL valuation, whatever it may be. Like, Nico is very happy to just let it all come to him, play the long game, and focus on the main thing, which is, of course, football. We got to see him yesterday, and truth be told, there were several periods of team where Nico was, getting a few plays here or there, but for the most part, I think they wanted to kind of allow some other guys to get work as well during the spring, which is not uncommon across college football. You try and assess your depth. But when Nico wasn't in the drills yesterday, when he wasn't in during 11-11 setting in certain situations, I saw him take mental reps during the play. Now, mental reps kind of sounds like a cliche term. You're like, oh, okay, you're running through the play in your head. No, Nico was actually legitimately standing somewhere around 15 yards behind the play, going through his progression and making what he would have thrown, kind of shadowing that of the quarterback in play. So he's not getting a rep physically, but he was getting a rep walking it through, which it's set. And you're just not like, hey, everybody should do that, right? Every good quarterback worth their salt should do something like that, right? Yeah, they should. But not everybody does it because it's not fun. They're actually in the game. It's a lot more fun to chop it up with your teammates on the sideline and squirt Gatorade around at your pals and just, enjoy being the starting quarterback. He was getting work while he was at work. All right. And I think that's important because only guys that love football do things like that. I know it sounds like I'm blowing this out of proportion. Promise you I'm not. Played with guys that do what Nico did yesterday and care about the game when they're not in, and played with guys that do the latter, what I just mentioned, and kind of goof off when they're not in. And I tell you what, I'd much rather play with the guys that take mental reps. Couple of things I think that are really going to bode well for Nico, in addition to what I just said with how seriously he's taken the game and just what he's got from a emotional standpoint, how mature he is. The quality and the quantity of wide receiver play that Tennessee has this year, I believe, is going to be superior to what they had last year, because Joe Milton had a very difficult situation he walked into, in the sense that expectations for him were also sky high because they're coming off the year where Hendon Hooker really should have been a Heisman finalist, and everyone's expecting it to be copy and paste, plug and play. Offense should score 40 a game yet again, right? And some of that, I think, Joe Milton probably has his fair share of blame in that. Like, if you're the quarterback, obviously you have a pretty large say in what happens with the offense. But at the exact same time, Tennessee lost Brew McCoy to injury pretty early on in the year. Didn't have the Biletnikoff Award winner in Jalen Hyatt out there. He was gone to the league. And so the quantity of weapons that Joe Milton was able to throw to, he had Squirrel White, who's great, but like, if a defense is only really worried about one guy hurting them through the air, makes it a lot more easy to defend. What I saw yesterday at practice for Tennessee, and again, we'll talk more about this tomorrow on the live show, I think that Tennessee has somewhere in the range of 4 wide receivers that could start most places in the SEC. So the reason why that's crucial, Nico's going to have a couple of different options, I think, any given play to get the ball to guys in space and make something happen. It's not going to be hey, I hope Squirrel White's open, because if he's not, the next guy's got to win his matchup. They got a lot of matchup winners, I think, at Tennessee, which should be encouraging. Now, watching Nico yesterday, one of the things that stuck out to me the most physically about him, one, he looks a lot more put together than I think he was a season ago. I don't know if that's the fact. I don't know if he weighs more, but I think he looked pretty well put together. Winter conditioning was good to him, it looks like. His ability to throw on the run, I think, gets massively overlooked, because we saw what he did in the bowl game, and he did great with his legs in terms of picking something up when the play broke down, and the RPO game, and that's huge, right? Defenses are going to have to honor that. But the way that he is just effortlessly able to get his hips around, moving sideline to sideline, and still deliver the ball with great velocity and quite honestly, great accuracy, that is a game changer. Because, again, going back to Joe Milton, not all of it was on him, but last year he did not have a elite ability to escape the rush. Now, Nico, with what he brings athletically and physically, being able to turn plays that maybe would have been negative a year ago into positives, being able to hit reset on a play that the defense would have otherwise won, you break, contain, new play, we're playing schoolyard scramble kind of football, that's massive. That's massive, and I think that's going to pay enormous dividends for Tennessee when it comes to their offensive production in 2024. Last thing I'll say here, there's new technology this year in college football. Everyone's talking about the radios and the helmets, and I don't think Tennessee will be one of those teams that leans super heavily into this technology, just by nature of our last conversation with Josh Heupel saying, I didn't really want a guy talking to me in my ear 15 seconds before the snap. But I still think it's fair to acknowledge having a Heisman Trophy runner-up quarterback on the walkie-talkie in your ear while you're out there in a tough environment, if you're on the road in the SEC and you're Nico, your first year being the guy, I don't think that hurts anything. All right? I don't think that hurts anything. And it'd be different if Josh Heupel hadn't played the position he has, and he's done it at a really high level. And so I think that's going to be, at least early on in the season for Nico, to be able to have someone kind of calm him down before the snap in terms of getting his eyes correct, knowing what he's looking at. Heupel's able to tell him, hey, this coverage, they're disguising this. It looks like man is actually zone. Things like that. I don't know if it'll be the end-all be-all for them, but I do think it's at least worth mentioning here as Nico gets up to speed and becomes the guy at Tennessee. So all the reason for excitement with him is there. All the expectations for him, they're valid. He's got the physical tools. I love his emotional makeup. I love the way that he carries himself as a football player. Give it some time. He's got a chance to be really, really good. They're trying to kind of, I think, keep a low profile, and I understand that. But when you are Nico Iamaleava and you have all the buzz that he had out of high school and you did what you did in the bowl game, like, people are going to be excited. So more power to him. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.